welcome, viewers. Let's look at what's happening in the latest with Hamas.
Yesterday, 4 of our soldiers were killed by Hamas terrorists in Gaza, and 6 Israeli civilians were brutally murdered in a bus stop in Jerusalem. This morning, Hamas proudly took credit for both of these actions. At noon today, I convened the heads of Israel's security organizations and authorized a surgical precision strike on the terrorist chiefs of Hamas. These are the same terrorist chiefs who planned, launched, and celebrated the horrific massacres of October 7th.
Welcome back to ILTV on the Hour. We're live in Israel, bringing you the biggest headlines from the region. I'm Lidar Lazi, and today is day 705 of the war in Gaza. Let's get into all the top headlines at this hour. In a stunning and unprecedented move, Israel carried out a long-range airstrike in the heart of Doha, Qatar, targeting Hamas's political leadership in what officials call Operation Summit of Fire. It remains unclear which Hamas leaders were killed or wounded in the attack. Today, new details are emerging on the historic strike. After months of secret preparation, Israeli Air Force fighter jets dropped multiple munitions on a building in Doha where top Hamas officials were gathered to discuss a U.S.-backed ceasefire proposal. The strike, conducted over 1,100 miles from Israel, was approved by Israel's security cabinet but kept secret from the broader government. The operation was run from the Shin Bet's command center with Prime Minister Netanyahu, Defense Minister Katz, and Israel's security chiefs present. And while the decision to strike had been made weeks ago, Netanyahu claimed that the timing of the strike was a direct response to the Hamas terror attack in Jerusalem that killed 6 Israelis the day before. Hamas confirmed that 5 of its members were killed in Doha, including the son and aide of Khalil al-Haya, but claims its top negotiators survived. Israeli officials say they believe several senior leaders were wounded or killed and say it could take some time before the results are fully known. This operation marks the first time Israel has struck within sovereign Qatari territory and comes amid growing threats from IDF Chief of Staff Zamil, who warned last month that Hamas leaders abroad will be reached.
At noon today, I convened the heads of Israel's security organizations and authorized a surgical precision strike on the terrorist chiefs of Hamas. These are the same terrorist chiefs who planned, launched, and celebrated the horrific massacres of October 7th. They perpetrated the worst attack on the Jewish people since the Holocaust. Now, they were meeting in the same place, exactly the same place, where they celebrated this savagery almost 2 years ago. At the beginning of the war, I promised that Israel would reach those who perpetrated this horror. And today, Israel and I have kept that promise.
Colonel, we've been at war now for 23 months, almost 2 years, and the army knows how to fight in Gaza, knows how to surround cities and enter and clear them out. Can you maybe share with us lessons learned, or the level of complexity of the current operation that the army is facing versus things that have already happened over this war?
Very good question. We also ask ourselves every day, how come we arrived to almost 2 years of a war? But you need to be in Gaza to understand. We don't have only one city in the name Gaza. We have 2 cities. One of them is on the ground, and one of them is underground. They build for 10 years almost, a new city underground with a lot of bunkers, a lot of tunnels, and they knew that when they will need to be there, to take the hostages there, and to escape from the IDF, they can stay over there for years. They have a lot of supply, food, and water supply, I think, for 1 more year. So it's very, very complicated. And I think we also did some mistakes. We did a lot of raids, like we go inside, we're taking control of a small area in Bet Hanun, Bet Lahiya. We're going out. This is the meaning of raid. We didn't take control and stay in the area. Every 2 months, taking control and go back. Taking control and go back. And we lost a lot of soldiers because of that, because we gave the Hamas the opportunity to put a new mines or explosives in those buildings, and we came back, and unfortunately we lost a lot of soldiers. From the beginning of the war, I'm saying that we need to take control all over Gaza Strip and not going back until we have a ceasefire or agreement. Until then, we need to stay in the area, take control of the area, defeat on the ground and underground the Hamas soldiers, and to bring back our 48 hostages.
And would you say that at this point in the war, you're happy with the way things are progressing, in that it's no longer these limited operations, but you're staying in a location and taking control? Is it happening right now the way you want it to happen?
Unfortunately, it took a lot of months. I thought we need to do it much more earlier, but now I see the preparation of the division. I see how much the soldier and the high motivation to accomplish the mission. We didn't accomplish the mission until now. They still throwing rockets to Sderot and to the area. We need to stop it immediately. And the only way, in my perspective, to defeat the Hamas, to stay in the area, to infiltrate to the city, to the big city in Gaza, to kill all the Hamas soldiers. And maybe there they will, in the other side, they will agree to assign a ceasefire and to bring back our hostages.
Israel has struck and destroyed another high-rise building in Gaza City after warning residents to evacuate as part of an offensive aimed at taking over the largest Palestinian city. The military says it was targeting Hamas observation posts and bombs placed around the 12-story office building.
بجد احنا مش عارفين ايش نعمل وانا نروح يعني القصف مش طبيعي مش طبيعي ما متصوروش عقل ولا انا بديش اقدم رساله للعالم العربي لانه اساسا شايف وساكت اصلا بطل حتى تفرق معاه يمكن لما يشوف هذه الاحداث بطل انه يتفرج عليها.
אני הבטחתי לכם לפני ימים אחדים שאנחנו נפיל את מגדלי הטרור בעזה. זה בדיוק מה שאנחנו עושים. ביומיים האחרונים 50 מגדלים כאלה נפלו. חיל האוויר הוריד אותם. עכשיו כל זה רק מבוא, רק ספתח לפעולה העצימה העיקרית, וזה תמרון קרקעי של כוחותינו שמתארגנים עכשיו ומתכנסים לתוך העיר עזה. ולכן אני אומר לתושבי עזה, אני מנצל את ההזדמנות הזאת ותקשיבו לי טוב, ראו הוזהרתם, צאו משם.
U.S. President Donald Trump says This comes as U.S. President Donald Trump says that he was giving his last warning to Hamas regarding a possible ceasefire, as Arab officials described a new U.S. proposal.
I want to be very clear that if you take responsibility yesterday for killing 6 citizens, you're not immune just because you're at another location. You can't kill Israelis. You can no longer kill Jews and think that you can get away with it wherever you may be.
Mr. Bennett, thank you very much for joining us here on the program. And we've just read that statement from the Emir of Qatar, who has said this is a flagrant violation of its sovereignty and security and a breach of international law. This is a blatant disregard for international law, isn't it?
No, international law starts with duty to defend your citizens. And I want to say that international law does not provide immunity for ARC terrorists and the masterminds of terror attacks, wherever they are. We'll get to any terrorist, wherever he may be.
Well, in fact, international law is very explicit. No state may attack another without Security Council approval or a case of direct self-defense. So, frankly, you didn't seek any of those approvals. You've gone into sovereign territory, crossed the skies, and launched this strike on a sovereign state.
You know, when the U.S. went out and took out Osama bin Laden in Pakistan, they didn't notify Pakistan in advance. That was also a sovereign country. You have to do this in order to eradicate terror. These are the people who control Hamas in Gaza, control Hamas in Israel. They are responsible for yesterday's attack, where Hamas took responsibility for the killing of 6 civilians in Jerusalem at a bus station. So a terrorist is still a terrorist, even if he sips tea at a 5-star hotel in Doha.
في أول الثلاثينات.
أبوك أولا.
ثم أنا ثم أحمد وحسن. بعدين احنا طلعنا. أنا طلعت قبل أبوي وحسن، طلعت أنا وأحمد.
ايوه بعد ما عرفت شو
طلعنا.
كيف شو؟
طلعنا من البيت.
بس هي ضلت عايشة؟
لا أبوي قتلها.
بعد ما
هو قال لي بعد ما طلعنا احنا قال لي قتلناه. طبعا طلعت لقيت مستوطن متخبي بالشجر.
So this was a family affair, you see, a father and 2 of his sons repeatedly raping and then murdering an Israeli girl. This report put out by a group called the Dinah Project, named after the biblical figure Dinah, the daughter of Jacob, who was raped in the book of Genesis. They came out with this report a couple of days ago after a 1.5 years of intensive investigations. The Dinah Project is a team of legal and forensic experts who researched this extensively, including extensive interviews with victims of October 7th and of hostages who were taken by Hamas and later released. Now, about those hostages, 15 returned hostages were interviewed in this report, and they all reported forced sexual acts, meaning rape while in captivity, being forced to walk around naked in front of their captors, and other forms of sexual harassment, including threats of forced marriage. And there were also male hostages who were sexually abused, who are mentioned in the report as well. On genitals, we had Shani Luke, the famous hostage, who was taken. Her naked body was paraded through the streets of Gaza to cheering crowds.
Allahu